Hello my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Ultimate Nightmares run, where we take the characters that are hardest to beat in the new Nightmare mode, as chosen by you, and try to win with them. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing the Artificer, which is, in my opinion, secretly one of the most difficult characters in the game, mostly because you get a very bad set of starting weapons, and so if you don't get lucky finding other weapons, it can be pretty difficult to win with just the starting weapons available to the Artificer. This character also has minus 50% armor modifiers, which is one of the most brutal penalties that any character has. Armor is so important in this game, so while this doesn't look like much, it's a severe penalty for any character. I think that you can use 3 of the starting weapons pretty easily here. Planks, screwdrivers, and shredders all have value. If you're using one of the explosive weapons, like planks or shredders, you're mostly hoping to find other explosive weapons, like rocket launchers or nuclear launchers, grenade launchers too, later on in the run. Or you can just use screwdrivers and play kind of like an engineer, attacking things and using the mine explosions. Wrenches are going to be a fair bit harder. We're going to go with Shredder. I've generally found, and we're on Crash Zone, I randomly rolled the map. I've generally found that ranged weapons are easier on Crash Zone, and just easier in Nightmare mode in general. So we're going to go with Shredders and hope that we can find some rocket launchers, some grenade launchers, some nuclear launchers, anything that can let us switch off of this relatively low damage weapon, because Shredder just isn't very strong. Here, I will re-roll, and I'll take a ranged damage. Of course, we'll want to build elemental damage to increase our explosion size, and for that reason, I'm actually going to lock mutation, because it gives us both damage types that we're looking for. But we don't actually do elemental damage, so we're not it's not that high a priority early on. I'll buy a shredder here, lock a fertilizer, roll. Roll again, roll again. Now, unlike other gun builds, we can't mix in other guns because the Artificer only does damage with explosive weapons, with the explosive weapon tag. So we have to find more shredders. That is one advantage of using planks is, even though they have 2 weapon tags, they're not guns. So you're actually a little more likely to find planks when you reroll than you are to find shredders. Trying to just pick up a reasonable amount of material here and get off to a good start. We'll do a roll, and then I have to roll again, unfortunately. We just didn't get anything usable there. I'm going to roll here. I could buy the fertilizer and then re-roll only once, but then I might not be able to lock a shredder. Do I prefer to just guarantee having the fertilizer this wave? Because obviously, if I re-roll and I find a shredder, we won't be able to afford it, and then I would just buy the fertilizer. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to buy fertilizer and I'll roll, and we were hoping to find a shredder. Unfortunately, we didn't. Even though it provides elemental damage, I am going to ban the book here. We'll pick up a reasonable amount of elemental damage for explosion size over the course of the run. We don't need to heavily prioritize it. And of course I want items like dynamite and good economy items to show up, so we want to ban a bunch of items. And of course more mutations, which provide both damage types that we're looking for. Definitely don't want to kill this curse alien. We're on Crash Zone. And also, I think even on the Abyss, the Artificer should usually try to avoid curse, just because it's such a weak character. I could take 5 harvesting here. I could take 5% crit chance. I think I'll just take the harvesting, and then we'll take some ranged damage. Excuse me, did not manage to mute that in time. RIP headphone users. We'll go ahead and pick this up. And now, unfortunately, non-weapon sources of damage are pretty bad for this character. Like, the rat is unusable because it's not explosive, so we have minus 100% damage with it. Bonk Dog does have its explosion, but that by itself is not enough to make this worth buying, so we're gonna roll past the Bonk Dog here. I will lock another Shredder. Snail, I don't think I'm that interested, so let's just go straight to wave 4 with a weapon locked. Really hoping that we see some other good explosive weapons soon. We want grenade launcher, we want rocket launcher. Of course, nuclear launcher is the best. This, of course, is the downside of Shredder, is that it's a very low damage weapon that relies on hitting enemies multiple times over by splashing damage off of other nearby enemies, but that's super dangerous against the enhanced flies. I'll take some attack speed here, we desperately need that, and then I will re-roll. I'm just going to take 5 harvesting, that gets me to 20. We can buy a Shredder, we can buy a coffee. Now this character effectively has 75% starting damage, because you have minus 100%, but then plus 175 explosion damage. So it's effectively like you have 75 damage. That means you want to prioritize buying percent damage a little bit lower. So I'm going to pass on the head injury. Well, we might want it later, but we don't need it now. And of course, dynamite is an available item that is way more efficient for buying percent damage. So we are really hoping to get that. We'll do some re-rolls here. I'll buy another Shredder upgrade, and then we'll lock a Loot Worm. That'll help me pick up some of these materials. So still hoping for a rocket launcher, still hoping for a nuclear launcher. We want to get a reasonable amount of luck early if we can do so without, putting ourselves in danger, because that'll make the high-level weapons a little more likely to appear. Now, of course, you can finish the game purely with Shredders, but it's surprisingly difficult to do that, just because this weapon is so low damage, it really falls off as you go on into the later game. I have 21 harvesting already. I'm just going to take the 6 max HP here, and then we will buy a weapon upgrade. We'll buy Loot Worm, we'll buy Feather, we'll roll. I don't have any luck yet, so I'm not going to buy the Pearl. Jelly, we will end up with multiple weapons at some point, and I kind of need max HP, but I think I'm not going to lock it. I think I'm just going to roll here, because I'm pretty incentivized to just reroll a lot until we can find higher level weapons. Now, one advantage that the Artificer does have on Crash Zone is explosive weapons are very good for dealing with the summons. Because, of course, they'll tend to spawn on top of each other, and you can hit multiple of the goobers with an explosion at once if you line up properly. I didn't on the second summoner that I killed there, but basically you want to get them so that you're firing across a big line of the enemies, and then the explosions will all hit all of them multiple times over. And Shredder, because it has inherent pierce, if you fire at a group of enemies, the explosion will hit each Shredder will hit the same enemy multiple times, because the first impact will cause an explosion, which will hit the enemy behind it, and then the second impact will cause an explosion, which will hit the enemy in front of it. Losing elemental damage is bad, because it lowers our explosion size, but I'm still going to take the Lost Duck. I think the luck is still pretty important. We'll buy fresh meat here, and then... Wow. This is actually a really tough pick. Do I need 2 range damage more, or do I need 9 HP more? I think I'm going to take the higher level upgrade, but that could easily have been an incorrect purchase. I'll just ban Mushroom. We're going to build Lifesteal in this run. We'll buy a Shredder. We'll roll. Even though we have bonuses for explosions, I don't think you should buy landmines on this character. It's just too weak an item. And you don't want to build engineering. And we'll take the Hedgehog. I'll pass on Dock Moth for now. We'll definitely take the mutation. We'll buy Shredder. We'll ban Cute Monkey, because we do not want to lower our ranged damage. Whoops. I didn't mean to step on that red X. I just didn't take my finger off the key in time and just went way further than I meant to. The enhanced Spitter, definitely a scary foe here. But as with many ranged weapon builds on Crash Zone, this is mostly about, can we get through Wave 16 intact? because we're going to be able to clear most of the other waves relatively cleanly, thanks to high ranged damage. But wave 16 is going to be very dangerous if we don't have enough per shot damage to kill the to kill the enhanced flies. I could take 8% damage. I could take 5 crit chance. Shredder does have 2x crit damage. We have a bunch of percent damage already, so I think I will just take the crit chance here. Now, even though this character has minus 50% armor, you do have to still buy armor on the Artificer. Armor's kind of non-negotiable in this game. I could take 15 attack speed as well, but let's just get 1.5 armor. I wish we could take the Obliterator, but of course it doesn't do anything. We'll buy Treasure Map, Mutation, and Jerky, and then roll. And we'll definitely take a Dynamite. I'm not going to buy Peaceful Bee. At this point in the game, I will take a Boiling Water and increase my explosion size. I do want to start boosting that, of course. Wave 8's going to be a challenge. There aren't enough enemies to easily splash damage onto multiple enemies this wave. And so you're just comparing your actual damage to the enemy's actual health. And that can be tough when you have these really high health enemies like these chargers. So basically what I'm trying to do is maneuver the enemies so that the chargers stack on top of other units, and then we can explode more than one of them at once. I'll run over here and grab some healing, because our health was getting quite low. Get this tree kill and set up for some more healing. That was a tricky situation. I really thought that those guys would die, but I kind of lost track of which ones I had shot already, so I put myself in a dangerous spot there because I thought I'd kill them faster. All right, we'll definitely take 12 max HP. That helps a lot. We'll buy the Dynamite, Boiling Water, buy Propeller Hat, and then I'll just ban the White Flag, and we can take a reroll here. Spicy Sauce is actually something you can use on the Artificer. This mostly cares about explosion size, and the Artificer's one of the characters that gets a lot of explosion size, and so Spicy Sauce is actually relevant. Now, that being said, we're a ranged build. I don't think we're usually going to get a ton of value out of the Spicy Sauce, and I don't really need additional max HP at the moment. So while this is okay if you're doing the Plank build, I think we're going to pass on it here, because I just have more important things to buy. Insanity is quite good for us. I'll take the Ugly Tooth as well, because we have some elites coming up. I'm going to need some move speed also. And of course, Triangle of Power is half an armor and some damage, so we want that. If we had Horde Waves, I'd be feeling way more confident also, but we have triple elite in this run. And that does make things a lot harder. Of course, the explosion size character with a weapon that's really bad at killing high health enemies is going to be really strong in Horde waves and suffer mightily in elite waves, so not an ideal pattern for us. If you're really struggling with the Artificer, I recommend rolling until you get 2 Horde waves. We'll take the Gentle Alien for sure. More enemies actually increase our kill speed on this character. I wouldn't mind building dodge. We have some already, but I'm just going to roll here. I guess I'll take 9 more max HP. And then I'm going to take some more lifesteal, or do I need the move speed? I'm going to buy, if I take the move speed, I don't need to buy the beanie, because we'll still have positive move speed. So I think that's actually fine. And then, okay, well, we got leveled up Shredder. We'll buy an Insanity. We'll roll here. Still getting a leveled up Shredder. I'll take the bait here and then roll. Sunken Bell, of course, gives us a massive explosion. So I will, I think, take that. That might keep me alive against the elite wave, which I'm pretty worried about. I should have done a better job of lining up the lampreys there. So we took a hit. We got a like 6% dodge or whatever that was, which was very lucky. But if I'd lined them up properly at the start of the wave, we'd have killed them all really fast. Now, one thing we haven't really managed to get is a bunch of luck, which is something that I was really hoping to pick up more of earlier, because we really want to get higher level weapons, and we're still stuck with a bunch of shredders here. Unfortunately, the explosive weapon tag does have a lot of weapons that we don't really want in it. A lot of melee weapons and things like fireball. I will take 15 luck here, I think, and then I will buy a shredder, buy a sunken bell. We'll buy boiling water as well. Do a reroll, and then I'm going to take the weird food here. I think that'll help me the most against the elite. I think we do also want the garden, because right now my healing is very poor other than consumable healing, so the garden is going to be nice. We'll buy gentle alien. I'm not going to buy fuel tank. It costs me ranged damage, and then we'll lock a shredder here. So I'm not really going to try to fight the elite, I don't think. This weapon is just too bad at killing elites. Oops. Tanking that hit was pretty atrocious. We can get some consumable healing, and then we'll just hide from the elite until it goes into its second stage. Then it's gonna start following me, but this was a pretty lucky elite to roll, I have to say, because it mostly only threatens you close up to it. Had to do a little dip in there to grab the heal, just to make sure that we're staying at full health the whole time. We would certainly be having a much harder time with one of the elites that really pressures you by following you around. Also got that loot alien kill, and because I have loot worm, I didn't even leave too many materials on the ground, so that was a very clean elite fight. I'll take the penguin here for 15. We'll take an insanity. I will just grab some more armor here. Go ahead and buy these items and roll. I will buy a whistle, combine and buy another shredder. I've got 205% damage, so the head injury isn't that impactful. I think I'm going to roll past it again, and I guess I'll keep upgrading my shredders. Landmine still you don't want on this character just because it's a weak item. So I'll say we've definitely had some things go above average, but one thing that we haven't found is any early rocket launchers or nuke launchers or anything. So I do think that this is a good illustration of what a mostly normal Artificer run looks like, and how this is winnable, even without any particularly spectacular luck. But if you do find an early nuclear launcher, obviously it gets a lot easier. I will say our loot worm is really putting in the hours for us. This guy is a big chunk of why our economy is still functional. Yep, we'll take an armor here. I'll take 9 more HP, just making sure that we're not getting popped immediately. We'll buy a shredder, and then combine, buy another one. Do I want the tractor? It's pretty expensive at this point, and it takes a while to pay off. I think we need to roll for other stats. I don't need the weird ghost. I'm going to roll. I'll take a dangerous bunny, do a reroll. We'll buy a lemonade, do a reroll. Okay, we found a rocket launcher. Now, the level 1 or the level 2 rocket launcher isn't actually particularly better than our shredder. It doesn't have pierce, so it's actually going to do less damage than the high level shredders, but I still want to buy it because I really want more rocket launchers to show up. But the first one that shows up at level 2 is not going to be a real upgrade. But since you're more likely to find weapons that you have copies of, very important to pick that up there, I think. Alright, I need some more healing. I also would like to start building dodge, because our armor is really bad. That's always going to be the case. But we've gotten some, and just being at an okay amount of armor is the most important thing. And then we probably want to build dodge on this character because it's the other major defensive stat available to us, the other damage mitigation. Also, note how useful it is that we have the increased enemy spawns, because it's actually helping us kill individual enemies much faster, as well as, of course, giving us more money and everything. I'm going to take 3 regen here. I'd like to get all of my healing stats positive. I'll just take a bunch of max HP going into this elite fight. Alright, so we don't want Sharp Bullet for our Shredders, because that would vastly reduce the amount of damage per hit that the Shredders are doing. Minus 20% on the 3 Pierce just completely ruins the Shredder. We do want Sharp Bullet for the rocket launcher. So if I had more rocket launchers, if I had nuclear launchers, I would take the Sharp Bullet. Here, I can't afford to. I will upgrade my rocket launcher. Getting it to level 3 means it's going to be a lot more useful. And then don't think I care about any of these items. I'll take the banner for sure. We don't have any elemental damage from Ice Cube. If we had a nuclear launcher, the Ice Cube would be good, but we don't. But we will take a treasure map. With the rocket launcher, also with the fact that this enemy summons a bunch of units on top of itself, I think we actually can go for the elite kill this wave. Though I do need to be really careful about letting too many goobers spawn. But basically, because this thing summons a bunch of units on top of itself, there's always going to be stuff we can shoot to damage it. Need to run here and get some consumables. We'll try to focus some damage on the elite. Pick up some healing here with our jerky. Run over and grab the healing from the garden. Try to pick off the elite so that we can get the full heal off of that, and then that will save us there. And of course, the Sunken Bell. I knew I was safe to do that because I had Sunken Bell, so I was able to just run in and charge at the elite because I knew that the Sunken Bell would clear the wave around me. Yeah, we'll definitely take the seashell. This is obviously great. Extra projectiles are incredible. We'll take the fresh meat here. I'm gonna re-roll and re-roll again. I'm gonna re-roll one more time, and we'll take 2 ranged damage, and then I'll take 4 regen. Okay, Pumpkin, unfortunately, doesn't do anything with Shredder by default, and so if I had taken the Sharp Bullet, we could take the Pumpkin, but I'm just gonna pass on both of those things, I guess. We'll take the bait here. It's an efficient way to buy damage. We'll take the lens, of course. Padding I don't need. I have 87 max HP, and then we'll take a helmet. We'll lock a Cyclops worm. I'm going to buy another garden. I think we do just need more forms of healing. And then for 25, I don't think it's worth re-rolling. Alright, so we're very concerned about wave 16. That's the big thing that we're worried about here. Also, the reason that we were able to kill that elite was which elite it was. That elite summons those little hordlings on top of itself. And so that meant that every time we shot into that with the Shredder, each Shredder bullet hit the elite 4 times, because it was piercing through all the little hordlings and exploding on top of the elite 4 times over. So very important to know how the elites work, because any other elite we'd have had to just run away from. Which wouldn't have been that hard. You know, the only reason I was in danger in the last wave was because I kept chasing to try to kill the elite, but it is important to know which ones you can fight and which ones you can't. Yes, I'll lose some explosion size to take the Lost Duck. We'll obviously not take Mastery here. We'll buy Cyclops Worm, Garden, and Bait, and then roll. Bandana, of course, is additional pierce. We're very happy to take this. This works with our rocket launcher very well. I'll take the metal as well, and then we'll go to wave 16. And bandana, of course, doesn't hurt our shredders. It's not super important for the shredders, but it doesn't hurt the shredders because they don't have any pierce damage loss. So I've gotten a reasonable amount of per hit damage. I'm trying to make sure I'm clearing the buffing aliens so that as more and more of the flies spawn, they don't get buffed. Because the most dangerous thing for us this wave is a bunch of flies getting buffed, because that would mean it'll take way more shots to take them down, which means a lot more projectiles that we have to deal with. I should be at the right-hand side of the map, but it's too late now. And the reason I should be at the right-hand side of the map is, of course, the projectiles are coming from the left. But standing on the garden there made us a little safer as well. I'll take the tardigrade when it shows up in a box. We'll take leather vest. I'll take the plant as well. I was going to build dodge, but I think I should just take the alloy. The elemental damage, range damage, and crit chance are all great. And now that means we're probably not building dodge in this run. Instead, I'm just going to roll, and I think I'll take 3 ranged damage over the 1.5 armor here. We'll buy feather. Do I want to mirror metal? It's such a good item. Is it worth spending 20 on the metal? Or 20 extra on the metal? That would cost me 324 total, so we can do it. I think so, and that'll make this next wave a little easier as well. And then night goggles. Yeah, I'll take these. The losing half an armor and 3 max HP, of course, is a real penalty, but 15% crit chance is very good. And I will do one more reroll just to see if I can lock a good weapon or something. Alright, this is definitely a more challenging elite for us to face than the previous two, but at this point in the run, our damage is a lot better, so we should have a hopefully easier time trying to take it down. Alright, tanked 1 hit there, but we have tardigrade. Had to back off to clear the buffed ribcage, because it was chasing us down there. And then we were able to kill the elite. So, very clean fight against the elite, wave 17. Baby elephant, of course, we're recycling. We'll definitely take Sift's relic. We're gonna re-roll here, and I'm gonna re-roll again. Okay, I'll take 4 lifesteal. That can help me recover if we get off to a bad start in a wave. I guess I'll buy this shredder. It's a little too late, I think, for Bean Teacher. We won't hit level 25 even with the Bean Teacher. I don't want Starfish, too dangerous. I don't need the level 2 shredder. Adrenaline doesn't really do anything. It's too expensive at this point. But we'll take another gentle alien and we'll roll. And I guess we're passing on all this stuff. I think also, you know, I don't always stay disciplined in every run in terms of what we buy. But I think if you're looking for a run that gives you a good sense of how to approach shopping, this is a pretty good one. We've focused on the items that we really need in order to make our build better. And we focused only on taking things that actively improve our character. Very important to have a good plan for what your character is trying to accomplish and make sure that you are focusing on taking items that help with that. We've also rolled a lot looking for the specific weapons and items that we need because we're playing a weaker character, and you have to, when you're playing a weaker character, try to find the specific things that you need. Like the beanie here, we'll recycle that. I'll re-roll and I think just take more crit chance. I'll buy none of this. We'll roll. I will take another alloy, just increasing our damage output. We can kill the bosses a little faster. We'll take another dynamite. Fireball here to taunt us. We'll roll. Roll again. The level 2 rocket launcher, I don't really want to sell a level 3 shredder for it, I don't think. Although we have Pierce, because I have the bandana, I think actually the level 2 rocket launcher is probably better than the level 3 shredder. I don't know, I'm thinking about which one will help us kill the bosses faster, because that's what I'm really concerned about at this point. And I guess the shredder probably will, so I think we'll pass here. I'll take 2 more lifesteal and then roll. And Obliterator still sadly useless. Also, my rerolls are getting absurdly expensive, so it's on to wave 19 here. Tanked a hit there, but of course we don't even lose our Triangle of Power bonus because we had the tardigrade. Gotta pick up some consumables, and this is why Jerky is such a good item. Of course, it gives us so much safety here. With our double garden and the Jerky and everything, we can just run and grab some healing whenever we really need it and just be back at full health. We'll recycle that. I'll take 6 range damage. Incredible. I will lose half an armor for 10 crit chance, I think, because I really want to kill the bosses faster. And then I'll take 2 range damage here. I will buy some more crit chance. Yeah, we're nowhere near it at critical hit cap, so still worth it to buy crit chance. I'm going to buy the lure here. Obviously, we don't get the items out of it, but 2 regen is relevant. But more importantly, 2 consumable drops and more enemies on the field is very good for us. It gives us more things to splash damage off of onto the bosses, and it gives us, of course, more healing. I could take the acid, but I think I'm going to keep rolling here. I don't need another bandana at this point. I'll take the hedgehog. I'll roll again. I guess I'll take the alien magic and the plant, just have a little more regeneration. And then we got pretty unlucky in the last 2 shops, I have to say, getting basically no relevant items. You know, we obviously the big arms I can't complain about, but this is not a good shop given that we had 1,000 to spend. And last shop was rough as well. Gonna start by chipping away at the bosses here, and of course we want to try to keep them relatively low. Because I have Seashell, that's a lot of splashing attacks on both bosses at the same time. Need to pay attention to where the consumables are on the map as well. So I'm gonna have to tank some hits here, and we're gonna have to get a fairly substantial heal. We can get the boss crate. The Sunken Bell has been quite good this game also, because I really messed up my movement. I was trying to run from left to right to get the heals there, but instead I just tanked like 3 hits in a row with low armor and no dodge. So I did put myself in danger, but we had Sunken Bell, which has been a really useful insurance policy. The extra explosion size that the Artificer gets, even if it's only 40%, which we only have 10 elemental damage, 40% explosion size is massive, right? That's more than a plastic explosive. So it's a very powerful tool for an item like Sunken Bell that really mostly needs explosion size. So there you go. That's the Artificer. I think that this is going to be the easiest way to win in general, is going for shredders. Of course, we could have found a nuclear launcher, more rocket launchers, grenade launchers. Those would all have made it a little easier if I had found more copies of the more premium explosive items earlier. But The shredders were adequate, and the rocket launcher helped as well. You can see we've got, 21k on the rocket launcher and maximum of 18k on the shredders, because they're a little worse at single target damage. 3 dynamites was nice. We got 300 materials from Loot Worm. This Loot Worm, honestly, might be the all-star of the run, the single best item in the run, because it made it so much easier to actually have economy from wave to wave. Treasure maps gave us 4 bonus items, so that's pretty nice. We got 250 savings from our coupon. We had 9,000 damage from Sunken Bell, but this does not tell the whole story. Obviously, you saw that I was able to play way more aggressively against the elite and also mess up against the bosses, and the Sunken Bell made both of those things possible without dying. So this was actually a really nice item. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I was sort of thinking, maybe it'll help against the elite, but it actually was incredible. So this is one of the better Sunken Bell runs I've ever seen. We got almost 300 off the bag, 150 off of Dangerous Bunny. The double garden was really strong alongside the jerky, of course. Seashell, obviously great for the end game. Not necessary, but very, very powerful. And the bandana was nice for our rocket launcher. And nothing else that gave us any stats over time, though the tardigrade was pretty nice, and I do think buying the lure for the boss wave was pretty important. Alright, my friends, hope that you've enjoyed this run with the Artificer, and of course, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.